Hello and welcome back to the Warwick F1 show. Today we're going to be doing our season predictions. So we're going to go through the race winners or most race wins, the overall championships for drivers and constructors, and then also just some fun predictions as well. Yeah. So we'll get straight into it. We'll start with the drivers' predictions, and as ever, I'm joined by Will and Chinmay. So
hello.
We'll start with Chinmay. Who do you think?
Who's gonna win this year? Oh, it's gonna be so hard for Max Verstappen. No, I mean, yeah, I know. It kind of makes sense. Obviously, absolutely dominated last season. Red Bull would have probably started developing this year's car probably back in September last year or midway through the season at this point. Because I think they stopped developing like July or something, and then probably second place. Second place is a bit interesting because I'm expecting there will be a bit more of a fight, obviously depending on Sergio Perez's form this season. Obviously, can McLaren do a resurgence? Ferrari, can they bounce back with a new design for Mercedes?
Wow.
Yeah, we don't know.
They all sound so confident.
Yeah,
Mercedes.
I know. Yeah, then Aston Martin, could they pull blinder again, and actually stay up there? But
I mean, maybe. Like, there's no reason I don't think they couldn't do well.
No, there's no reason.
Yeah. But I'll probably still put my money on Sergio Perez to get second, just because Red Bull is obviously expected to be the quickest car. Obviously, it does depend whether he does get dropped halfway through the season, which obviously wouldn't be surprising.
I don't hope.
No,
I don't want someone to lose their job.
Yeah.
I think I want someone that deserves that car to be in it.
You want someone challenging the stuff.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we don't want someone that's just going to sit there and play second fiddle even when they try not to.
Yeah. And then third place, I'm going to put my money on Lando Norris.
Yeah. I mean, at risk of sounding boring, it probably will be Verstappen. Like, we don't know performance at the moment. We don't know who's going to be fastest, who's going to be slowest, who's going to be up there, who's going to be in the midfield. So we have to kind of go off what we know of last year, and realistically, last year was the Verstappen show from start to finish. So yeah, I think Verstappen, for me, like as you've been saying, Red Bull probably stopped developing their car fairly early on last year and still managed to take 20 of the 21. Was it 21 of the 22?
21 and 22?
Yeah, 21 of the 22 wins, Verstappen taking 18 of those. There is no counter evidence to suggest that this year isn't going to be another one dominated kind of by Milton Keynes. But I don't think it will be as dominant as it was last year. Mainly because I don't think it can be as dominant as it was last year. Last year when I've said it before, last year will probably be the most dominant season that we ever see in F1, especially from one driver. So I'm going to say P2, I'm going to say Lando Norris. Because McLaren, like, we've spoken about it a lot. McLaren started 2023 at the back of the grid, ended it arguably the second quickest car. Probably, I mean, at least in the hunt with Ferrari and Mercedes, kind of race by race. Either all three of them could be second, third, or fourth. And I see no reason why they can't continue that progress onto this season as well. They came fourth in the constructors, so they've got more of that wind tunnel time. They've got more of the cost cap to spend, and Norris is one of the best drivers on the grid. So I think they probably should have it's an easy target to aim at. But if Verstappen wasn't as dominant last season, he would have won at least one race and likely more. So I don't see any reason why kind of Norris can't come second. Like, I still think Verstappen will win, but I don't think it'll be as close. And then third, yeah, probably Perez. I'm just going to switch them around. I do think Red Bull, probably that dominant aspect. If I had to go for a driver that wasn't like one of the Red Bulls, then maybe go Leclerc. But I think ultimately Red Bull will still probably be the quickest car, and Perez will necessarily finish second or third as a result of that.
I'm gonna go out there. I think we're gonna have a 2012 type year.
Oh,
I think we're gonna have a lot of development. I think it's gonna be really close. I'm gonna continue the trend. I think Lando Norris is going to be first.
You
I
think
think Lando
Norris?
Norris is going to win the world title.
Not just win a race, but win the whole thing.
I mean,
I think he might do it without winning it. No.
I mean, we have precedent for a dominant team kind of not falling back, but in like you mentioned 2012, in 2011, Red Bull were far and away the best
and again,
team.
2013, I know that was Rex in 2014,
Yeah.
but they were miles off it. So I think if you look at the development that they have, McLaren have shown they can develop a car well. We've seen Red Bull make cars really well. We've not necessarily. I know it before these wrecks, we've seen them develop it really well throughout the year. Looking at like 2018, 2019, where they really came on at the end of the year. But I can't see them doing it a third year in a row. I don't really want them to as well. That's probably part of it. But I think McLaren, they seem so confident. And like the last few years, they've not been there. I think they've got that real performance.
It was also, I think, they understand their car.
Yes. I think
they've developed it so well.
They finally understand how to improve their car, where to fine tune it. And they've got two really good young drivers that are going to push each other. I think Charles Leclerc is going to be second. I think that Ferrari, if he can extract the most out of it, knowing that he's got Lewis Hamilton coming the year after, kind of to prove a point, I'm not going to be shocked if that's there. And then I'll go Verstappen third. I think the Red Bull's still going to be good, but I don't think it's going to have that top performance to. If he's not got it on pole, he's not going to win. I think we might see Leclerc finally convert some poles to wins. We might see Norris actually win a race. It's going to be a good year for F1, and we get all these fans that we've lost the last year back in.
We hope so.
That's the dream.
If we get another 2012, it would be amazing.
With Drive to Survive, it would be like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, 2012 even should have been closer if McLaren hadn't consistently messed up at about every other race.
Yeah.
Like, you were almost looking to 2010 in terms of four teams, or at least three teams, kind of competing. And we went into the final race with four drivers
it was
in contention.
It was Webber, Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel, I believe, were the four drivers in Abu Dhabi.
I think Webber was winning the title at that point.
Webber was leading, and Sebastian never led the title, I told you, in that year season.
No, I think the first driver to do that since... Actually, no, it might have been even the first ever driver to do that.
I know in 2012, no one that was leading the championship won the race that year, which is silly.
We need a season like that.
Yeah, I can see something like that happening.
This is why I'm hoping you're right. No, I'm wrong.
So I think we can also say that we think McLaren might be the next strongest team after Red Bull, which kind of leads us nicely into kind of the constructors title. So how do we think the team's going to get on this year? So, Wood, if you want to start this time.
I mean, Red Bull are going to be up there. There's almost no way, with how dominant their car was, there's almost no way Red Bull kind of aren't going to be up there in terms of just, they could use last year's car and it would probably be quite competitive. It's just the level at which, as you mentioned, they have developed, and the level at which they've developed correctly, because it's not just about development, as you as a Ferrari fan would know, that development doesn't always mean improvement. And
Aston Martin are the specialists when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it with Aston Martin last year. I think Red Bull will be up there, and personally will be the team I'd back for number one in the constructors. I mean, we've discussed it on other shows. Mercedes, who we didn't even mention during the drivers one, Mercedes and the W15, none of the evidence is looking positive at the moment. It's fair to say, obviously, Lewis Hamilton getting in the car and then immediately deciding to jump ship to Ferrari for next year. But it's Mercedes, like, they could be good. I mean, Ferrari, I feel like, always the most difficult team to predict in terms of, are they going to be good or are they not going to be good? They could come out with a 2017 kind of competing from the start, or a 2020 and then be in the midfield.
Yeah, but that was always that engine, though. Which
they're completely they're completely legal engine.
Don't forget, and also Ferrari are doing a design philosophy change this season as well. I think they're starting from scratch this year as well.
We have hope with a white car, or red and white.
Yeah. And this will be the first year that Vasseurs kind of got full
autonomy,
operational control over the team. they're probably looking toward. I mean, when you put Lewis Hamilton in your car, I feel like the long-term thinking is always at the back of the mind. I think generally that's probably something they're looking forward to.
Work towards 2026.
To the level that they're allowed to.
Yeah.
Well, development can start from next year, so I think everyone's going to try and get next year's car done as soon as possible, so they don't have to do anything next year.
Yeah.
Next year may be really boring because there will be no development of those cars.
Well, unless they're all close.
Well,
at the start.
We can hope.
Yeah, and then we've mentioned McLaren and then Aston Martin, obviously, who did do who took on the Ferrari mantle. I think it's fair to say, of developing downwards.
Yeah. Well, they literally did the opposite of McLaren.
I don't think Ferrari develop backwards. They just develop sideways. They don't go forwards. They just try something new and it does the same thing.
It's the PewDiePie meme. It's like it's evolving but backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think for me, I'm stick along the same kind of vein as my drivers' predictions. I will probably go Red Bull first, McLaren second, and I think out of I know Aston Martin are good, but I don't think they'll be as good as they were at the start of last season. And out of Ferrari and Mercedes, I've got, unfortunately, as a Hamilton and by proxy a Mercedes fan, I do think Ferrari have a bit more hope than Mercedes currently, so I'll go with Ferrari third.
Yeah, unfortunately, you've literally just taken my three predictions out of my mouth.
You're going to go for the same one?
I was literally going to go Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, and maybe because obviously Mercedes don't look very confident with the fact that Lewis is jumping ship so quickly, and obviously I do expect to be some sort of in-team fighting this year, continuing. Probably is going to get evolve between Russell and Hamilton of the number one position. Obviously, depends on who is the quicker one of the two. Ferrari, obviously.
Carlos Sainz has nothing to lose now.
Exactly.
Does he?
So he's gonna be pushing his hardest as well. Leclerc obviously will be wanting to prove his statement, hopefully, before Lewis Hamilton comes as well. Obviously, McLaren obviously looking very, very. I mean, I would say obviously they're more quietly confident, but obviously there is still that high confidence in that car. We saw how good they developed it, and obviously they've got a good understanding of the car. And obviously they've got the extra wind tunnel time compared to the big three of Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari. So, expectations are that they should be able to push their way up the grid again. Hopefully actually push into the top three. Maybe, could they push for Red Bull? We don't know. We'll see. We haven't even seen most of the car launches haven't even had come out yet. But yeah, and obviously Red Bull through just statistically and expectedly just, yeah.
I'm going to stick with my gut, with my drivers. Good. But I'm going to have Ferrari winning it. I think, as you said, Chinmay, both the drivers have so much kind of proven to gain from this year. If Charles Leclerc wins the title, he is cemented as that number one driver when Lewis Hamilton comes in. And there can be no debate. I think you are you will have the number one on your car. That can't be your number two driver. It kind of lets all the pressure off. You've got that confidence. You have nothing to prove. Whereas if you have another year, it's like, it could have been, then the questions get asked. And Carlos Sainz is driving for effectively a top drive. What are you going to have to lose? I think Perez isn't going to help Red Bull much. Piastri's great, which is why I think McLaren will be second.
But he's young.
But he's still relatively inexperienced. He had a great rookie season, but we've seen drivers almost take a step back sometimes in their second season. But I still think he'll be up there. He'll probably get a win this year, I think.
Well, you're the optimist.
I know. I think I have to be. Otherwise, it's just be us going the same three every time.
I'll be Verstappen.
But no, I'm optimistic. I think Ferrari and McLaren kind of seem to know what they're doing, and drivers seem happy and confident. And I think we're going to have Red Bull third. I think Verstappen will kind of carry them to that as he did to the title this year. But I think that the stronger pairings will finally pay off to have those better drivers, and will reap that reward for you.
We do not have hope in Mercedes in the slightest.
No, I think Lewis Hamilton has done that himself.
Yeah. It's good. We're going to have to eat our words when they somehow come out with the quickest car. Just 2 seconds a lap quicker than everyone else, back to 2014 days. Oh, no. Hamilton v Russell for the title.
I can't have Toto.
Right, what's the next? What was the next segment?
Most wins for the year, which I think you two have kind of answered with your predictions anyway.
All right, I think it will be Verstappen, and I think again it won't be as dominant. I think it will be Verstappen just because out of all of the top 4, and then I guess if you include Aston Martin, you maybe say them as well. But out of all of those 5 teams who were at some point last year in contention for regular podiums, Red Bull are by far and away the team with a number 1, number 2 structure.
Yeah.
Like Mercedes, with Mercedes, Hamilton's leaving, Russell's the future, but they're kind of on relatively similar performance. Ferrari, again, all up in the air with the Hamilton transfer. I think maybe McLaren as well, but you've got the potential of Piastri pushing on, and Norris as well is just a good driver. So I think on weekends where the Red Bull is the most dominant, Verstappen will be winning, whereas maybe if on weekends where if they do happen, if a Ferrari is the most dominant or a McLaren or a Mercedes, it's more 50-50 in terms of which of the drivers will take the checkered flag and stand on the top step of the podium. So I feel like Verstappen, but we're going to get more than 3 race winners, I think, this season. I hope we do.
For the sake of the sport.
Yeah. I think you're right in saying I do think this will be the year that Norris will win a race.
Yeah.
At least.
It kind of has to.
It really does have to be the year. Otherwise, you're getting into...
Otherwise, at what point does Oscar Piastri kind of become that number 1?
Yeah.
It's a year where I think Piastri can win a race, but a lot would have to go right.
I wouldn't be shocked if we got 7 different winners.
Yeah.
I personally, I think 5 for me.
Yeah.
I think we get 5.
So both Red Bulls can win, both McLarens,
Both
Ferraris, and then maybe a shocker or a Mercedes.
I don't think Perez will win a race, personally.
I don't, but I could see it happening.
Yeah.
Like if that Red Bull is really strong and Verstappen has like an accident or something.
If you had to give me the 5, I think Verstappen will definitely win one. Norris, I think, will break his duck. I think Leclerc will...
He'll win in Austria again.
He'll
win in Austria, maybe Italy.
I think one of the Mercedes will, but I don't know which one.
It'll be Russell.
Russell, Mexico.
Probably Russell.
I would say Russell, Mexico. Yeah. I'm just being a bit more specific.
And then I think a 5th is a wild card from the rest. I think Perez could win one, Hamilton could win one, even Sainz, Piastri, maybe even Alonso is kind of a redemption arc.
Yeah, Gasly.
No,
maybe that Alpine's good.
Let's not go that far. Alpine are going to be very mid again. But personally, I think 5 race winners this season, but I think it will be Verstappen will take the most out of all of them.
Yeah, so obviously I would agree, considering I'm continuity for my predictions as well. But even though I did present Norris to be second over Leclerc, I do think Leclerc will get more wins than Norris. Mainly because Leclerc is that proven race winner, and there are more races where I know Ferrari can do well. Like I said, I mentioned Austria, because Ferrari's been strong there quite in the last few years. Monza, they can. I reckon they can win more. He can win Monza again this year.
Bahrain.
Yeah.
I mean, of all the races,
as long as
Bahrain is the start of the season. It kind of.
Well, as long as the engine doesn't.
When his engine blew up.
Yeah.
The second time in Bahrain.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he lost his 2019.
It was 29.
Yeah, could have won his second.
First.
Did we start the season in Bahrain?
No, we started Australia.
I think first ever win.
Oh no,
it'll be second
Ferrari win.
Yeah, because then and I think I reckon Checo would win. If there was one race I'd say he wins, Baku.
It's always Baku
because he's really good at Baku.
Or Saudi.
I do.
Saudi, yeah, that's true.
I love it when drivers have just that one track they're really good at. Kimi and Spa, Massa and Turkey.
Oh, Massa and Turkey.
Yeah.
I'd say Lewis, I know he's won a lot, but Hamilton and Hungary.
Yeah.
Or Silverstone.
And or Silverstone, to be fair.
And
Norris
I'd say
and Russia. Oh, wait, sorry. That was uncalled for.
Norris and Austria, you could say.
Norris and Austria, yeah.
Vettel in Singapore.
Verstappen in Austria, to be fair.
Yeah, Verstappen.
No, Verstappen in Spa. In Spa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Vista.
Yeah. So I mean, how many race winners do you reckon though?
So obviously you're talking both Red Bulls. I would say both McLarens. Piastri can win.
You think Piastri will?
I will put my money
I put
Piastri in
over
Brazil.
Perez.
Piastri will
back
win in
Piastri
Brazil.
over Perez as well.
I think they'll both win a race, to be honest. Leclerc, obviously, Sainz would win one randomly.
Sainz will win the one that has like one
Yeah.
and one drive.
Do I see Mercedes winning a race? I don't think so.
I think I see them winning a race.
If it was a race, I think it's Monaco.
True. I put my money on Alonso to win a race.
You think?
What, above a Mercedes?
Yes.
That makes me laugh.
Actually,
I mean, this
If
is.
it is
terrible
realistic.
this is.
I mean, this is slightly Red Bull bias and anti-Mercedes bias.
What happens if Williams are fast? What happens if Mercedes are genuinely the slowest factory team? Mercedes power team.
Oh no.
Can we not? I don't want to think.
What happens in that case?
Just
Does
have a look.
Toto get sacked?
I think Toto loses his mind.
I think Toto has to get sacked.
I mean, but doesn't he own the team? Part of the team.
We'll come on to that in our road predictions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what 4 or 5 then? Do you reckon?
Realistically, 4 or 5, but it can be up to 7.
And you said you think Verstappen will win the most.
Yeah, comfortably.
I'm going to go back on my prediction again. I'm going to say Leclerc wins the most because I think, like you said, I back him to win more than Norris.
Yeah.
But I think that McLaren is more consistent across more tracks.
And Norris is a more consistent driver than
Yeah.
Leclerc. Leclerc has obviously.
Yeah.
I think that will be less of an issue this year. I think
No.
a lot of his issues last year weren't his own fault,
No,
admittedly.
but you.
I think Leclerc is guilty on occasion of chasing.
Yes, yeah.
I think the phrase of like chasing the dragon, where it's like he's always in reach of something
Yeah,
that he
he
can't
can't
quite
quite-
catch.
But I think, based on what we'll see this year, I think he'll be in more comfortable positions like Spain when he DNF'd a few years ago, where he is kind of in control. He's not going to make that mistake. I think if it's close, then you might see one or two. But I think he'll be able to get the most out of that car more often than Norris will. But I think there'll also be weeks when Norris is picking up. There'll be like a stretch where Norris will get like 4 seconds in a row, and Leclerc might go first, fourth, fifth, first, second, or something.
Yeah.
Third, whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Verstappen will get some wins. I think you'll see a lot of drivers get some wins, like we've discussed. But I think if I'm going with that top 3 that I said of Norris, Leclerc, Verstappen, I'd back maybe even by 1, but I'd still back Leclerc to win more than Norris with that experience.
Yeah, I do think with winning,
Yeah,
it becomes easier once you do it.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't be shocked if Ferrari won the first 3 races of the year and then he went 10 races without winning one, whereas Lando might win 2 or 3 in the middle and be like constantly good, but that Ferrari might just not develop as they want.
I don't think Norris will win 1 race. When he wins,
he will
I
win
think
2 or
he'll
3.
win 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he'll...
Unless he wins in Abu Dhabi, in which case.
Yeah, but he'll, like, Norris should have won a race, realistically, by now.
Yes.
There have been at least kind of
It's just
3
Red
or
Bull's
4...
kind of cheated him out of it.
Yeah, Red Bull's cheated him out. There have been, on occasion,
Russia.
he did kind of throw it away, Russia. But
It's not masses though.
once he does it,
yeah, like
he will
Silverstone
do it.
this year.
Yeah.
Just been.
it will be like cathartic, I think.
But I also think it's like with Lewis retiring, you're gonna see like a whole new group of fans when Norris starts winning races. It's gonna be terrifying. Twitter's not gonna be a safe place.
Twitter's not even a safe place at the moment.
No, it never will be.
Right, most DNFs.
Most DNFs. I'll start this one. I'm gonna go.
We're going drive. Should we go driver and team?
No, we'll do driver.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Daniel Ricciardo.
Ooh.
I think that whatever it's called, the Visa Cash Out.
Oh yeah, I've got Visa, Cash App, RB.
Long name car team.
Silly.
place. Yeah. I think they're gonna have some reliability issues. Trying to get so much of that Red Bull stuff in their car. I think he's gonna push it too far. I think he's gonna want to prove that he deserves to be on that grid, and just
What, over Yuki Tsunoda, do you reckon?
not even that. But I think there's a lot of good young Red Bull drivers coming in. They're gonna be like, okay, we need to get that young identity back. He's gonna push too hard.
I mean, he's got a young Kiwi kind of waiting in the wings for any slip up.
And then I think the only other one you could probably say is probably Logan Sargent, but even Yuki, to be fair. But we saw that team had issues last year, so I think it'll be Danny Rick, and I think Logan Sargent wouldn't be far behind.
I think the Red Bull or the RB, whatever it's called, silly Toro Rosso. I'm calling it Toro Rosso.
Toro Rosso.
The sister Red Bull team. I think you're completely right. I think we'll struggle when they try to. Thinking back to 2020, did Racing Point have many DNFs when they tried to?
So they just copied the design though. They didn't really take more parts than they had previously. They just had a special note.
I think Haas might also struggle.
That's true. I forgot they kind of exist.
Yeah, if I'm going for a different team, and I do think the RB shout is a good one, but if I'm going for a different team, I would probably say Kevin Magnussen.
Why do you take him right out of my mouth?
We think
I was gonna say Kevin Magnussen.
We do think the same, right? I think Magnussen, this will be his final year in Formula One for me.
Yeah.
Both Haas drivers.
I think Hulkenberg might stay for one more.
Yeah, and Hulkenberg was sent to the reg changes, I think.
But I think
Behrman's in that car.
Yeah.
In 2026.
I'm preempting like the general predictions, but I think like Magnussen, I think is almost done.
Yeah.
He didn't have an especially good season last
That car was just so bad though.
Yeah, but even in quali, Hulkenberg was kind of putting in good performances where Magnussen wasn't.
I
think it peaked in 2022 with that pole. I think that personally, I don't think are going to be very good. Nothing like they've said they will probably be last in Bahrain, which never strikes confidence. And
depends what McLaren turns up.
Yeah, McLaren do have. McLaren does have a habit of being last in Bahrain the last couple of years. But yeah.
I'm going to go for Magnussen, but I do think either of the RB. We call it.
It's just RB
racing.
Just say
Bulls.
Toro
It's not
also.
Racing Bulls. It's just RB. That's what it is.
Either of the RB drivers.
Can I just call him Minardi at this point?
Yeah, I think either of the RB drivers is a very good shout.
Okay. Okay.
So I've stolen your answer.
No, I mean, I know. Okay, this is a genuine one. This was probably my second choice anyway. I'm gonna go for one of the Sauber drivers.
Oh yeah.
That's
true.
Steak F1 team.
Kick. Depending on where you're listening.
I don't care. I'm calling it Sauber.
Do we have to call them Steak Kick Sauber F1
or the
team?
highlight?
We'll call them
No,
Sauber. Just edit it out.
We'll decide now. It's gonna be
no,
RB.
or the green or the team of green highlighters.
Oh,
But spoiler.
Unique looking car. We'll talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about liveries. We're on a special episode.
Yeah,
obviously.
we gotta wait for the new Red Bull livery, which will look exceptionally different to normal.
Yeah.
Just a new face.
I think.
I think because especially the last couple of years they've not had the best reliability, and also
that for our engine's good.
Yeah.
So do I.
I mean, to be fair, no. But the thing is, even for a decent reliability, it was always Sauber's always been that sort of one exception. Yeah, they just because they just don't know how to. They're just not very good with cooling ducts for some reason.
Yeah,
I think that's what.
The year Kimi was there. That was all the years.
Yeah,
he kind of helped develop
and we do love Kimi.
Yeah,
great driver.
Because as much as I like Bottas, Bottas can't do much. He won't be able to do much. And Joe Guan Yu, I don't really see him staying beyond next year, this year, end of the season. To be brutally honest, and then maybe they can pull some upsets at the beginning of the year.
I think that's another team where we see both drivers potentially move on.
I think Zhou might stay, but I think
mainly for money
Bottas
reasons, but
maybe
because obviously he's got the Chinese sponsorships,
true.
Yeah,
and especially because China's coming back this year as well.
I think it depends what you got. Young drivers do well in F2.
Yeah,
any young developer.
I mean, you got Teo Porcher
he's
coming in, which is
he's guaranteed to see
kind of the obvious choice. He looks
Drogovic maybe.
He's more Aston Martin.
Aston, but I don't know if either of their drivers are leaving anytime soon.
Yeah.
Alonso's still 20 at heart.
And Stroll will leave when his dad gets fed up.
Okay, so I think that's kind of our set predictions.
Yeah.
So let's move on to some rogue ones. Just anything to do anything. We'll do one or two each. Could be to do with silly season, could be to do with tracks, could be to do with accidents, whatever. So
I think starting with retirements, I mean, we've been talking about it. I think Bottas goes. I think Magnussen goes. I think Perez goes. To be honest, I think you lose a lot of the drivers that are kind of that 2010 to 2014 era. I think you might lose potentially all of them.
A lot of the V8
I think we discussed this last week that you could lose almost half the grid, which is quite concerning.
But I think specifically those four for me. I think Bottas and Magnussen, I just think it's kind of they kind of reached the end of their
It's time.
careers. I think Perez will lose his seat as opposed to retiring and won't be able to find another one. Yeah. And I think Ricciardo will do the same, actually. I think I would say...
It depends whether he crashes or burns.
Driver again.
Yeah, and I think that or the second Red Bull seat would either go to Tsunoda or potentially even Carlos Sainz.
I think Carlos Sainz makes sense to them. I also wouldn't be shocked if Danny Rick went and did IndyCar.
Yeah.
Or NASCAR or something in America.
Like supercars.
Or WEC, even.
Supercars in Australia.
Yeah.
But
big NASCAR fan.
Yeah.
So.
I think those four, for me, are the drivers I would pick to be on the chopping block for the end of 2025. I mean, I can do replacements as well.
Go for it.
Yeah, so Lawson for Ricciardo.
Yeah.
I mean, we've mentioned Pourchaire and... who else did I say? Pourchaire and Behrman for Sauber and Haas, respectively. And then I do think I would personally say Sainz for Perez, but I think that would be a 1 year for Sainz, and then they bring in Lawson or Tsunoda for 26.
Oh, well, that Sainz goes off to Audi, even not the shop.
I want to see Lawson in a 2026 Red Bull.
I hope it's good for his suit. Not the George Russell move straight after the Rex. It's just bad.
Yeah.
But the first prediction for me, I think those four drivers, basically the 2010 to 2014 crop, I think will all retire or leave the sport.
Oscar Piastri, top 4 drivers finish.
Okay.
Ooh.
So 4th fee then.
True, yes. I reckon he'll be 4th. Maybe I would stretch it to 5th, but I definitely think he can step up. We are talking about a guy who comes in that sort of elite junior categories. We talk about the George Russell, Charles Leclerc, back-to-back junior thing. We've seen possibly the best rookie season since Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. Still baffles me how Hamilton holds that record for most rookie points.
Yeah, it was 2010.
It was
10
old.
to 1.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, he did have theoretically the best car on the grid.
But still, with all the rookies that have come in to the sport.
I mean, you look at the teams they've joined though.
Yeah.
Well.
HRT and Toro Rosso.
I feel like putting HRT and Toro Rosso is a bit
but
rude.
comparing that to then Mercedes is like...
Yeah.
McLaren, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's still...
No,
I like Piastri didn't break it.
I do like...
Did Piastri... He didn't break it?
No.
Did he?
It was like...
No.
I think he got...
Because they were so bad at the start of the season.
Yeah, it was like low 100 or high 90s, I think.
Yeah, so
Piastri got.
109.
Yeah. You know.
No, I like that Piastri shout.
Piastri, yeah, and the fact that he was a very solid second driver for Lando Norris in his first season of F1. Calm, composed, it gives you a lot of Kimi vibes.
Yes.
Which is
actually.
He literally is my favourite driver on the grid now.
So
there's a
as a Ferrari fan that hurts.
Yeah.
No, I
I
think when Lewis retires, Piastri might be on my list of
Yeah,
driver I'll support instead.
We can officially become a Piastri stand podcast.
That's alright.
I want to see what happens with that dynamic. If Lewis Hamilton's there for 1 or 2 years at Ferrari, and Oscar Piastri's still that number 2 driver, do you say,
ooh,
do I go for it? But
I think Bem kind of
sense.
Develops a little.
My predictions, or prediction, is going to be that both titles, drivers and constructors, are within 10 points going into the last race.
Fair play.
The amount of money I would pay to make sure you were right.
I really hope we revisit this at the end of the year and it's like, yes, I got everything right.
Or we just revisit it, it's like 200 points.
You're both completely right. No, I think it's going to be really close. I just have this kind of gut feeling that this year is going to be really exciting. With all the anticlimax we had the last 2 years, it kind of feels like it's building back up again.
We're overdue a multi-driver battle, and when I say multi, more than 2.
Yeah,
because
the last time
7 Lewis or
you'd be looking
2012.
2014 was like if
2012 was probably the last one that's genuine.
Multi-team. I mean, you've had 2 drivers in it, like 2014, 16,
2021.
17, 18, 2021. But I think we're overdue.
The most cinematic.
Yeah.
A good battle between multiple teams. God, I hope you're right.
I really hope that's right.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we did see that?
I think it would.
And then the season ends at Abu Dhabi.
It would just pique everyone's kind of F1 interest again. And then we'd have another 10-year dip. And it'd be, again.
It's alright.
But it would be perfect. It's kind of the time to do it. You've got kind of a reasonably set calendar now for a little while. You've got another year of these kind of regs, so we could have another year next year where it's really close again. I think it would be set up really well till you've got big names coming into the sport, kind of big reset of drivers. It'd be just a really good thing for the sport, and I'm kind of, it's more hopeful than anything. But you know what? I see no reason why it can't happen. It could even be like Perez and Verstappen could be 10 points.
Okay, let's be honest.
Let's
be realistic.
Ultimately, if that's the case, the constructors one's wrong. But I can see one of them being within 10.
Okay. Second prediction, and it's very much on the opposite spectrum of that one there. I think Verstappen re-breaks his
win record.
Yeah. What's he on now?
I only need to win like 3 though.
So is he on 9 currently?
So.
Have a look at the results for the end of the season, but yeah, I think
it was
he
from
potentially
Japan,
could do that.
So it was Japan, USA.
With Japan, then all of.
Well, there's Japan, Qatar, USA, Brazil, Mexico, Vegas, Abu Dhabi. That's only 7.
Is that only 7?
Yeah, just give me.
Or have I missed multiple races?
I feel like
I missed Brazil.
Yeah, I think you might have. I want to say it was 9.
Yeah,
it felt
1, 2,
like
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's on the 7 race win streak.
Oh, maybe not.
Since Japan,
so he's to win 4.
Yeah, so Japan.
5 to break it then.
Yeah, so Japan, Qatar, Austin, Mexico.
Did you not get to 10 and then stop?
Well, did you get to 10 and stop? Or
Was it
11? I thought it was 11.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. He got 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then obviously Singapore, and then he started again. So.
Yeah, I think he might. Maybe he won't. No, this is a prediction out there. I think he's going to break that win record. I think he'll get to 12.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then lose to someone.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I can't be dealing with more Verstappen wins, just from both from a personal and an objective perspective. Right.
Okay, I'm thinking potentially Austin will be the best race of the season.
Ooh.
I like that. Any reason why, or just kind of
gut feeling?
Hurricane hits on Sunday.
No, I feel like because obviously Austin's one of those tracks where you can have is generally higher tyre deg.
Yes.
Obviously, depending on how Pirelli sort out the tyres this year, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's all dependent on that. I'm gonna extend it to a top 3, and these could be any order.
Okay.
Right.
Just so I can't just say Silverstone,
Yeah.
Always.
Austin,
Yeah.
Qatar.
Wait, in that, not in that order.
Not in that order.
generic.
Okay, if I'm I can order it because
Yeah.
there's predictions. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, obviously, which I probably will be.
I mean, the odds of being right are low. To
Yeah.
be fair. Can you imagine doing it at the start of last season, then what did it end up being like Singapore,
Yeah,
Monaco, or
Zandvoort.
I know. So yeah, first I say okay, I'll stick with Austin, Qatar, Silverstone.
For my prediction, I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, what's your top 3 races?
My top 3 races.
That's
for
a
this
good
year.
general one.
I'm going to go with Bahrain. Bahrain's always a good race. Going to go with Suzuka.
Oh, early on in the season.
I'm going to go with Spa. I think we have a good Belgian Grand Prix. I think we're owed one.
Okay, I'm going to go for... I think Brazil makes a comeback, and if you're right and it's close at the end of the season, I think that's going to be brilliant. I think we're going to get a wet Silverstone on the race, and I think it's going to be like wet dry. It's going to be like that back to old 2008 vibes, and I think that will be a good one as well. And then I think at the start of the season as well, Jeddah.
Okay.
I'd maybe put Silverstone first, and I think Jeddah second. But Jeddah, start of the season, the cars are theoretically close together. I think Jeddah would have been quite a good race this season as well, had Verstappen not started 15th.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. Yeah, I think early on, but potentially late as well, if you are right.
Yeah. Right. And then I'm going to get my prediction that I've remembered. There'll be 5 2024 F2 drivers signed up for the 2025 season.
Ooh, that's a lot.
That's what they call a changing of the guard.
But I think you've got both Haas seats potentially,
Okay.
both AlphaTauri seats potentially, both Sauber seats potentially.
Not AlphaTauri,
Not
surely.
AlphaTauri. I mean,
RB.
that's still 5 though. And then you've got maybe Williams, Sargent might go. That's 6 at least that are viable. You don't know what Red Bull are going to do with their seat if they have one. Mercedes might bring Kimi Antonelli.
That would be such a.
But there's talks about it.
You know what? If they
and
had,
so like,
if they
it
had,
wouldn't shock me.
if they
I've always
had,
got to bring drivers in from somewhere.
if they had ambition and he performs well, they should do that for me.
Why not?
Because why? If you want, it's a very easy number 1, number 2 structure because you'd have experienced George Russell with Kimi Antonelli. It's a statement of intent.
Yes.
Well,
I think it's the perfect time to do it. You have 1 year to get used to a top car, and then you've got the new regs. What if you got to lose? If your cars are useless this year, get him in the sim for the new car. You're gonna win, in the future.
I like 5. I think
5's like a good.
I think potentially.
Cause I think you'll lose more drivers than that.
Yeah.
I think that seems about right.
Because there's not really that merry-go-round, I don't think, anymore. I think it's going to be a lot of stepping on, stepping off, as opposed to jumping from
around.
one team to another.
And then we'll get it again now with that merry-go-round for 5, 6, 7 years. I think I'm quite happy with that.
Okay.
And I think we'll do one final quick fire round, no justification, just quick prediction, and then kind of wrap up.
All right. There will be a lot of inter-team fallout.
Okay.
Between specifically, I think Alpine, they were living on borrowed time somehow. I think Ferrari and Mercedes are both at risk. Mercedes in particular.
Mercedes most definitely.
And potentially McLaren, although it might be a bit early.
I think Norris might Piastri win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chinmay.
Piastri beats Norris to a win.
Yeah.
That would be
easy.
So
good.
Funny.
Yeah. And then to end off, I'm going to say that no driver will get more than 3 wins or poles in a row.
Fair enough.
So no back to back to back.
That's a
Okay. So I think that does it for our 2024 predictions. We'll do our kind of season preview even soon, and then we'll do our Bahrain predictions.
Yeah, then
soon.
we'll look back at these in November and figure out how wrong we were.
And this year, Viddles can get involved.
Yeah, I can finally get involved in the predictions until me and Will leave in September.
That's all right.
But we'll find a way to keep it going, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But no, I've been Will.
I've also been one.
And you've been Chinmay.
Chinmay, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening.